A man comes up behind a woman and asks if she knew who it was. She then asks what was going on, but he tells her to take it easy. Meanwhile, another woman takes the woman's cell phone from her purse. He tells her to take it easy as it was a surprise, but she takes his hands away from her face and asks what his problem is. The man then apologizes to him and says he thought she was his girlfriend. She then says she didn't know him. The woman then tells him to leave her alone and the man leaves. Later, the man meets with the other woman and asks if everything went well. She thanks him for helping her, but she says she needed the cell phone's password because she couldn't use it. The man then asks what they were going to do now, but the woman says she has an idea. She thanks him for his help and gives him a bill of money. He then gets confused because that money was very little, but he decides not to say anything and leaves. Later, another woman goes to the woman and says she found a cell phone and asks if it was hers. She then says yes, and the other woman asks what the password is. The woman then says the password, but the other woman says that that wasn't the phone's password, and without the password, she wouldn't return the phone to the woman. The woman then says that that was indeed the password and tells her to try again. The other woman then says that that wasn't the password and that she wouldn't return the phone, because that wasn't the password. The woman then says that was her cell phone, but she pushes her away and runs away. The woman then runs after her, but the man stops her and says that he has confused her again with his girlfriend. He says that she looks a lot like her and that he wanted to deliver those flowers to her. She then realizes that she had lost sight of the other woman. Later, a policeman tells the thief to stop running. The woman then says that she had stolen her cell phone, but the thief asks him to let her explain. Another woman arrives and says that was why she called the police. The policeman then tells the woman to hand over the cell phone to him, and whoever could enter the correct password would keep the phone. The woman then tries first. She then manages to enter the password and unlocks the phone. The officer then says that she was right and the phone was the woman's. The other woman then says that earlier the woman had taken some pictures of her and asks him to look them up on his phone. Then we are shown that earlier, the other woman asks the woman to take some pictures of her. She then asks what her password was, and the other woman says that she didn't use a password as she didn't understand anything about technology. The woman is then happy to hear that and takes her pictures. The other woman then says that the photos turned out really well and that she was a photographer. The woman then thanks her and says she would put a password for her. The other woman thanks her for her help and puts her cell phone in her purse. The woman then asks if she was from that city, and she says no, that she was just there to visit a friend. The woman says that she reminded her a lot of her sister who had recently passed away. She then says she's sorry to hear that, and the woman asks if she could give her a hug. As they hugged, the thief was in the distance watching the whole scene. The woman then, as she was hugging the other woman, takes her cell phone out of her purse and puts it away. She then thanks him and leaves. The thief then says that's why she was there, she had seen the woman stealing the phone and followed her. The woman then asks to be able to explain herself, but she says that she had nothing to explain and says that the police officer had already seen all the evidence. The policeman then tells them to calm down and that he wants to hear their story. He then says that what the woman had done was a crime. She then says that she knew it was wrong and apologizes for it. She says that she was alone in that city and that she had nothing and no one. She says she could barely afford her college tuition. The officer then says that even though she was having a hard time, that wasn't an excuse for her to be stealing. The other woman then tells the officer to wait and says that we all deserve a second chance. She then hands the woman her cell phone and says she hoped she had learned a lesson from all that. The policeman then asks if he was sure about that, and she says yes. She says that even though the woman is still very young and is likely to make more mistakes in her life, everyone deserves a second chance at life. The woman then thanks her and hugs her.